Yo, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Freedom marchers, freedom family, freedom lovers, and freedom fighters. Snapzilla gorillas in the building. Getting y'all day started right with another morning paper upside your head. Pardon me as I am losing my voice, but it is what it is. The day must roll on, and I got shit to do. What music do I like? Well, I like hip hop, jazz, reggae. I love reggae. Afro-Cuban jazz. Yeah, I like all that. Not a fan of the modern day hip hop though. Like, I don't know what they got going on with that bullshit. You know, just music ain't like it used to be. But good morning, everybody. Latressa, Lil Draco came in here hating early in the morning. Damn. I didn't think my voice was gonna be this bad, y'all. Shit's crazy. Anyway, little under the weather. Southern Soul, yeah, I rock with that. Yep, for sure. Yes, sir. But I would have to say, jazz is my favorite genre. But it is what it is, y'all. Salute to Caesar Blanco. The one. Well, I like, Art Blakey. John Coltrane, of course. Miles Davis. Charles Mingus, if you like the bass. Thelonious Monk. There are a lot of jazz artists out there. Louis Armstrong. Right. Man. Yep. I just like that jazz hands? Sure. The one and only Nicole. Yeah, very interesting. Anyway, how y'all doing this morning? It's cold as hell outside. And, you know, it's still October, right? I mean, no, it's the first day of November. It's cold as hell. Good morning, Tiny D. I'm about to, after this quick live stream, I'm about to go do some drills at the park and hit me some sprints, y'all. Today is sprint day. Yes, sir. Got to get those sprints in. If you like some music, there are stellar bands out of Scotland. Quick, Tidelands, Skip-Inish, Nightworks. Okay. So, yep, I'll be getting my sprints in. You know, some people, they get under the weather a little bit and they want to lay down and, you know. And there's a time for that, right? There's a time to rest, but you still got to move. That's how I handle being under the weather, right? What up, William Dame? William A. Dame, Adam? William Adam E. Okay, salute to you. Caesar Blanco says, I listen to jazz every morning when I wake up. Definitely mentally therapeutic for my mind to start the day for sure. Absolutely. Nothing like some good old jazz. Salute to Hingle McCringe. Hingle McCringle sent me a high five. Salute to you, bro. So, climate change, which they used to call global warming, right? Salute to Realize in the building. They used to call it global warming, but when people found out that the globe wasn't warming all at once, they changed it to climate change, right? So that was the gimmick. And what professing man-made climate change did, right? Because we know climates change, right? Like you go from spring to winter to summer, right, to fall. This is natural. The climate changes naturally at least 4 times a year, right? Well, in most places. But then you have the overall, right, where climate change is a natural part of Earth's existence, right? And so when people start to realize, right, like I did when I was in college and I studied geology, climate change is part of the Earth's fucking history. You know what I'm saying? And there were points in Earth history where the whole Earth was covered in ice. The whole goddamn planet. Good morning, Stephen Cherry. Keisha, salute to you. Good morning. Thank you, Keisha White. Salute to you. Salute to Realize in the building. Yeah, my voice. Y'all got to pardon my voice, man. Anyway, you realize the Earth used to be covered in fucking ice, right? But then there was also a point in Earth's history where we had no ice caps at all, right? And it was a lot warmer over the entire planet. And this is while life is on Earth, while life was existing on Earth. The Earth was much warmer than it is now, much warmer. All over the planet, there were no polar ice caps, right? The Mississippi River in America, the Mississippi River, used to be a fucking ocean, right? much of the United States was covered in water where the Mississippi River is. So it was like all the way from Utah all the way to goddamn, I want to say Michigan or some shit, right, where the Great Lakes are. It was a one big ocean. And, of course, over time, you go into an ice age, polar ice caps form, and then the river, it shrinks back into a river. The ocean shrinks back into a river. This is a natural part, right, of Earth's. It just is what it is. And to suggest that men, right, human beings, are accelerating climate change is asinine, okay? Especially with CO2. And that's where I want to get into Bill Gates, right? Bill Gates. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all hit the like button. It takes a lot of work, right, to rant with your voice missing, when your voice is going out. You got to talk that much harder, and all I'm asking for is a goddamn like, y'all. Hit the like button, double tap the screen. That's all you got to do. You ain't even got to back out. You ain't got to do nothing. Just like that. Anyway, so Bill Gates, yeah. Where am I getting this information? What information? I explained it. I learned this when I was in geology. When I took geology courses, and I had to study this shit, and I had to do research, and I had to do essays, and do research when I was in geology class. When I was a geology major in college. This is where I learned that information. What you talking about? I said that. What was it? What are you talking about? So Bill Gates was a huge proponent and a peddler of the man-made climate change lie, because that's just what it is. It's a big lie. One of the biggest lies ever told, right? Now, there was a point in time where Bill Gates was pushing the CO2 lie, right? Oh, we need to reduce CO2, all this, that, and the third. And he said these things, right? And, he went on TED Talks and famously said that through vaccines, we can reduce the population by so much percent. Salute to Lone Star Steph. Salute to you, bro. So, he was a pusher and a proponent of the climate change, man-made and man-accelerated climate change. Yeah, he pushed that shit. Like him, Al Gore. Y'all know the folks. All these scientists they told y'all about that agreed to this. Well, these motherfuckers didn't even know what they was talking about, right? They just went with the lie. And so now we're coming to an understanding that, well, man-made climate change is non-existent, right? Especially not with CO2 emissions. They changed it from CO2 emissions to greenhouse gases. So now they throw in methane and all these other gases that are a natural part of the earth. The earth releases these gases on its own. And they try to blame living beings for these emissions. Well, the earth does this, right? Especially when you have volcanic eruptions. Looney says CO2 is a greenhouse gas. Okay, sure. Yeah, Natalie Peters says, and now he just came out publicly and said, well, I don't think that anymore. He never thought that. Bill Gates, understand. First of all, Bill Gates is a dropout, okay? He's a college dropout. He's not a fucking scientist. But yet he runs around the entire world pushing shit like he is a scientist, and you're just supposed to run with it. Natalie Peters says, yep, they were even using it to charge companies for certain amounts of CO2. Yes. And they wanted to charge us, the people, right? They wanted to give you carbon credits and all that shit. Carbon tax. They wanted to carbon tax you. Yeah. This is a reality. Now, is there such thing as man-made pollutants and all that? I'm not denying that. Sure, there are man-made pollutants. But the biggest polluter on this planet is government. Government, in conjunction with corporations, are the biggest polluters on Earth. And make no mistake, they are manipulating and engineering the weather on this planet. So, yes, those things are happening. The powers that be are manipulating the weather. Absolutely. And so, I've been talking about this for years. I have been rejecting openly. I have been rejecting this bullshit about CO2 emissions, about man-made climate change for years. Yeah, I've been denying it. And people call me crazy and conspiracy theorists. They didn't care about my expertise because I studied it. They didn't care about none of that. No. They cared not. And now here we go. Bill Gates. But see, this is what they do. They'll push the lie that gives them the control and power they want for as long as they can. And when they can no longer hold up that lie, they'll change it up on you for sure. Yeah, no problem. No, I have not. Vitruvian man. I have not been wrong for years. I have been correct. Point blank and motherfucking period. You go throughout the history of the planet, it has been much hotter for longer periods. The tides have been higher, right? You know, they told you, oh, well, the sea level rising. The sea level has been much higher. There has been points in history where there has been 0 polar ice caps. 0. And then there were points in history where the entire planet was covered in ice. It is what it is. Looney says, since the Industrial Revolution, we've been burning more of all kinds of fuels and the temperature rising faster. Lies. Lies. Recorded history? You know that the history on the planet goes back longer, further than recorded history, and that's a lie as well. Yeah. They started in 1950. That's when they started with this shit. That's not true either. Have we been burning more fossil fuels as humans? Yes. But it's not accelerating or altering climate change to any, not even a negligible amount. It's not enough to make any significant change in the climate of the planet, period. Bottom line. Yeah. This is a reality. Because those fuels, what do you know that volcanoes throughout the history of the planet, volcanoes shoot out those same gases at a much higher rate. Volcanoes, yeah, active volcanoes and volcanoes that are no longer active have put more. Humans can never match what volcanoes can do in terms of releasing gases, burning fuels. Because that's what volcanoes do. You know that, right? As a matter of fact, thanks to the eruption of volcanoes, that's why we have the atmosphere, right? The atmosphere is here because the volcanoes spewed out the gases that form the atmosphere. Yes. This guy says that's the point of science. It didn't change. It didn't change. No, they lied to you. This is true, Isaiah. That's the point of science. They didn't use science. Bill Gates did not follow science to change his mind. It had nothing to do with science. Because the science never supported man-made climate change in the first place. It was a lie to begin with. Never. Never this fast for Vitruvian Man? How do you know that? That's a blatant lie. The volcanoes, nothing can ever put out as much and burn as much fuel as volcanoes. Ever. Volcano it's a cycle. You understand? The gases that are emitted into the atmosphere get cycled back through the earth. Period. Things take up these gases. Plants take up these gases. They use them. Nitrogen, carbon. The plants need these things. The soil, the nitrogen goes to the soil. Bada boom, bada bing. It's all part of a cycle. The plankton in the ocean, the plants on land, they take up the CO2. They sequester the CO2. The nitrogen goes into the earth. Same with methane. It cycles. We're just using it. We use some of these gases for fuel. We use what already exists on this earth. You understand? Period. Yes, Mr. Back says, so who is more pro-corporation? The party that deregulates the corporations and gives them handouts? Or the party that tries to regulate corporations and feed the poor? Which side, which party has ever fed the poor? Tell me. Because the last time I checked, the people that run these soup kitchens, that hand out food to the homeless, that do all these things, they're private people, right? Those are just human beings trying to help other human beings. Now, if you're talking about food stamps or whatever the case may be, even with the existence of food stamps throughout decades, there have been homeless and hungry people on the streets. There have been children, adults, it doesn't matter. There have always been homeless and starving people on the streets in the United States. Whether a Republican was in office or a Democrat was in office, whether the Republican Party had control of the House and the Senate or the Democrats had control of the House and the Senate. Which party has ever ended hunger in the planet, on the country? When? When does that ever happen? King Turd, you need to get educated. I'm educated. Don't worry about that. Yeah. I'm educated on this matter. I took the classes. I did the research. Period. I don't care what you're talking about. Natalie Peters says, no, they just want to call you conspiracy theorists instead of actually doing some fucking research. Yeah. You gotta look it up. It is what it is. Like I said, am I denying that human beings pollute? Sure, they pollute in all these different things. You know, they pollute the ocean, they pollute the air with these chemicals. Industrialization cause these things, and they manipulate the weather as well. But these are mainly the biggest perpetrator of pollution are corporations and government. But they're not going after government when they try to regulate. Sure, do they create regulations and all that other shit? Yeah, but they skirt the regulations. The corporations, they'll do what they want to do anyway. They'll just pay people off. Yeah. We don't live on a spinning ball. Truth Speak says, CO2, what they are scared of, but it fuels the planet. They're not scared of CO2, but I agree with you. It does fuel the planet. Plants. What they fear is the carbon-based individuals that can rise up against them. So they go after carbon. Well, we're carbon-based. Yes. We're carbon-based. The plants need the carbon, and they release the oxygen that we need. It's a cycle. Joe Moore says real science is demonstrable and repeatable. What is that? Okay, sure. What are you saying that towards? What's the context of that statement? You have some information, but you aren't smart enough to know what you don't know. Dunning-Kruger in full effect. Core Sluppy, yet you haven't explained where I'm wrong. What did I get wrong? Janet Nelson says, good morning, Freedom. You can tell why scientists are measuring water levels in Antarctica. Help me understand what you're saying, Janet. They know it is coming for burning. Ocean levels are only affected by the moon and the sun. Yeah, well, that's true, but as we go in and out of ice ages, that will also contribute, but that's just a natural part of what the earth does, period. Isa Runrum says, you're literally operating on third grade science of knowledge. Yet you haven't, give me the knowledge then. Give me the knowledge, Isaiah. Give me the knowledge. Because I learned this shit in college. So you admit these gases can affect the planet. Israel Jason. When did I say the gases don't affect the planet? I said that these gases cycle through the earth. They get released and they get taken back in, released and taken back in naturally. This is what the earth does. Through plate tectonics, volcanic eruptions, and all that type of shit. Yes. Where did I not say that? That's not, you thought you ate there? You didn't. Looney says, truth speaks, we're putting out more CO2 than plants can consume. That is complete and utter unequivocal bullshit. That's a damn lie. Hold on, I'm getting a call. Hold on. We're not putting out more CO2 than the plants can consume. Where y'all getting this from? Because if we were putting out more CO2 than the plants can consume, we would not be alive. We would not be alive. Y'all are Oh, it's all lies. Okay. Y'all a bunch of idiots. Y'all are idiots. Right? Natalie Peters, good old 100 years in recorded history. The planet has existed for billions of years. And the planet has gone through changes. Its climate changed multiple times over those billions of years. It just is what it is. So you know better than 97. Y'all make the dumbest statements. Instead of telling me where I'm wrong, you say stupid shit like, so you know better than 97% of scientists? About what? So 97% of scientists said what now? Man, y'all crazy as hell. Adding to it? How are we adding to it? Where are we getting the gas from? The earth already has the gas. The earth already has these things. Adding to it? Are y'all dumb as fuck? Adding to it. Where are we getting the gases from? Outer space? Are we going in outer space? Collecting gas and bringing it onto the planet? No, we're not. We're not. You heard of cycles, right? So the host lies and projects his pathological lying onto the scientist. Where am I lying at? Man, y'all wild as hell. How do I know it's a lie? Because I did the studies and I did the research and I did these things. I looked into it. That's how I know. Yeah. So you learn these things when you study it and you research it and you just don't listen to what these motherfuckers say. That's where, hey, it is what it is. See, y'all keep launching these insults, but you haven't told me where the lie is and where the truth is. See, I'm explaining. I'm explaining. I'm giving you guys information. But yet, y'all haven't given me anything. This bro thinks carbon is in the air and nitrogen is in the soil. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. Israel, Jason. All right, tell me where carbon and nitrogen is. Tell me where it is. If carbon is not in the air, where does it go? If there isn't nitrogen in the soil, then how do plants get nitrogen from the soil? Did I say they only exist in those places? No, I said, what are you talking about? Israel, Jason, you're an idiot. Tell me the science. Y'all haven't given me any science. Here's reality. Maine lobster industry is losing their lobster industry to Canada. Why? The water is too warm in Maine. Okay. What's the point? And your point is what? What's your point? I'm insufferable. Okay. Then you don't need to be here. Don't be here and suffer. Yeah. If you tell me you're insufferable, I'm insufferable, I'm going to help you out. Get your monkey ass out of here. So the water is warmer in some locations. So you know that the water has been warmer on the planet It gets warmer, it gets cooler, it gets warmer, it gets cooler. It is what it is. You can't stop it. Just look at ocean temps over 10,000 years versus 100. It's raised more than 100. How old is the planet, Mike? And where are you getting your information? Over 10,000 years versus 100. It's raised more in 100. How do you know that? Who took the temperature of the ocean 10,000 years ago? How did you get that information? Help me understand it. Because if the Earth is getting warmer, right? That means the entire Earth is getting warmer. Is it warmer over the entire planet? Because right now it's 43 degrees. Last year, around this time, it was about 60 degrees. So does that mean that the globe is cooling now? Because in my location, it's colder this year than it was last year. Who took the temperature 10,000 years ago? How do you get that data? How do you get the data to know what the temperature of the ocean is now versus 10,000 years ago? Do you know that? Do you know how to get the data? Realize this, isn't it against the law to impersonate a police officer, a doctor? Hasn't Lil Bill Gates been charged with impersonating a doctor? Yeah. What about the Amazon? What about the Amazon, Natalie? This is what happens when ego gets in the way of growth. Yet y'all haven't told me anything. See, you're blasting my ego, you're blasting this, you're blasting that. But yes, you have not given me any information about nothing. What up? Salute to you, Mr. Nixon. Good morning to Black Spring Autumn. Salute to you, Queen. Right. Y'all don't have to watch. Ocean in India is highly polluted. Yes, it is. What does that have to do with climate change? Did I believe I told you earlier that pollution, man-made pollution exists. Man-made weather manipulation exists. I didn't deny that. I'm talking about climate change. That's a whole different thing. Are we polluting parts of the planet? Absolutely. But that's due to what? That's not due to me and you living our regular everyday lives. It's due to the corporations and the governments industrializing. They are the biggest polluters on the planet. But they want to turn it on you and say, oh, well, it's the CO2. Do we pollute as well? Yes, you and I. We use plastic. They put that shit back in the ocean. Sure. There are things we can do to reduce pollution. There are technologies and ways where we could turn this thing around. Sure. There's a difference between human contribution to polluting the earth and climate change. Those are different things. We can change it. We can reduce the pollution in the water. We can reduce the pollution in the air. We can move towards cleaner energy, right? Or when we use things like coal and things like that, they have technology to scrub the emissions. They have the technology. Yeah. Salute to Janet Nelson. Thank you. Thank you for your $2 super chat. I appreciate you. Climate change is real. Absolutely. But climate change has been real for billions of years. There's no man-accelerated climate change, though. Once again, those who claim to have done the research, ironically, have never read a scientific research paper in their life. Yes, you're still saying not a motherfucking thing. You're not saying shit. Why care about the harm you do if you aren't going to live long enough to personally suffer? All right, I'm getting you out of here. You keep running your fucking mouth, yet you're not saying shit. Yeah, I'm not tolerating that this morning. We only been on an industrial life for 200 years. People should buy an almanac. What? So? Mr. E, what does that have to do with anything? Yeah, we only industrialized for 200 years. Yep. Natalie Peters says we have 100 years of possible credit record, weather history. How the fuck can we know? They don't know. They don't know. They have no clue. Salute to Jeff Spark. Salute to you. Salute to you, Jeff Spark. Salute to Anarchy Television. Yes. Mystery says fighting the climate cold. I see. Yes. Yes, we've only been industrialized for 200 years. And industrialization contributes to pollution. Sure. Yeah. You're absolutely right. Yeah. We can stop polluting, but we have to look at the biggest polluters on Earth and start there. Corporations and government. Absolutely. The planet is going to explode. Sure. Anyway, y'all. Janet Nessa says periodic table is based on what elements come from Earth. Yes. Well, yeah, absolutely. Why would I come on here and lie? Damn, I'm way behind. Ocean is climbing quick. That's a lie. They're lying to you. The ocean is not climbing. Climbing what? It's a lie. Everyone has a carbon footprint related to the contribution they make to carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. You know that you need carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, right? To sustain human life. You need carbon dioxide. Yes, everyone has a carbon footprint. We're carbon-based. When we breathe out CO2. The plants take up the CO2 and aspire oxygen. You need a certain amount of oxygen in the atmosphere and a certain amount of carbon and nitrogen and other gases. Just so y'all know, some guy came and told me that CO2 is not in the air. Yeah, the CO2 doesn't go into the air, just so you know. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know CO2 does not exist in the air? I don't know where it goes in. And nitrogen doesn't go into the soil. Nope. Did y'all know that as well? I didn't know that either, but I just learned something new today. sulfur dioxide makes a lower pH. Learn something out, not CO2. All right, you can get out of here, Hootie Nation. This idiot again. You don't have to be here. I'm going to help you out. LOL, nitrogen and CO2 are in the air, water, and soil. Are you talking to me? Well, let me make sure you're not talking to me. Robert Martin, tell me you're not talking to me. If I say that someone said CO2 does not exist in the air and nitrogen isn't in the soil, where do you get that I'm saying that it's not in the water? Are you talking to me, Robert Martin? Yes, plants feed on nitrogen that exists in the soil. Yes. There are certain, okay, I'm going to tell you the elements you need for human life. The elements you need for human life. For life, period. For life, period. So, hold on. So these are the things you need right here. Essential elements for life: nitrogen, carbon, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur, hydrogen, chlorine, cobalt, calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium, carbohydrate. You need all that shit. This is what's necessary for life. Mr. Midnight says, I don't know about nitrogen in the soil. It is in the soil. Nitrogen is in the soil. Yes, and the plants use nitrogen. Nitrogen is in the soil. What do y'all, what's wrong with y'all? Now, when you have certain, corporation-made industries that, like agriculture, mass agriculture, monocropping and all that, it depletes the soil of a lot of these elements. Depletes the soil. So there's some cases where there is no nitrogen in the soil because it's been depleted. Oh my God. Anybody tell me? Does anybody know how much oxygen you need in the atmosphere to sustain human life? Do you know how nitrogen comes back into the soil? Yeah. Yes. About 21%. But it is what it is, y'all. It is what it is. Like Bill Gates, which I'm looking up right now. I'm about to get that article. But nitrogen gets back into the soil. through rainfall and bacteria and things like that. You need bacteria, you need things like, so like a carcass, rainfall, a lot of different things. These elements come together. It works, right? Bacteria, earthworms, all types of shit contribute to the nitrogen in the soil. Earthworms, slugs, legumes, all these things contribute to getting nitrogen back into the soil. You need that. Anyway, I gotta get out of here. I've been way longer than I should have been. But that's because you guys are engaging. So I appreciate that. Nitrogen is in the air, but it's also in the soil. When I say nitrogen exists in the soil and carbon exists in the air, why do y'all think that I'm saying that carbon isn't in the soil and nitrogen isn't in the air? Where do y'all get that from? Yes, decaying matter brings nutrients to the soil. Yes. And the bacteria, the gases that the bacteria gives off, and the earthworms and all these different things, they contribute to the nitrogen and other nutrients that go into the soil. No, I don't think the sea levels are rising at any significant level due to man-made conditions. No. If the sea level is rising, it's very minute in a minute way. It's very insignificant. It's very negligible. And it's not due to man-made bullshit. Yes. Thank you, Black Spring with Autumn. Is it well, guess what? Daniel Tortillo, did you know that there were points in the Earth's history where there was no polar ice caps? Where the entire planet was a lot warmer and there were no ice caps on either side of the planet. And there were oceans all over the place, way many more oceans than we have now. So they said again, and then there was a point in history, the planet's history, in which the entire planet was covered in ice. It is what it is. Anyway, y'all, I gotta get out of here. Let me get my run in. Yes, much higher, much higher. And if the sea level is rising, it happens very little at a time. Like it takes hundreds of thousands of years, or tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of years for those changes to occur. And we're not making it go any faster. Period. Anyway, thank you guys for coming through. Coachine is a hell of a drug. And spelling is a hell of a talent. Yes, spelling is a hell of a talent. You should know that. I don't care what NASA said, Robert Martin. I really don't. No, we're not. We're not contributing to shit. Period. I don't care what you say. Anyway, I'll holler at y'all later. Much love. Like, share, subscribe. No problem, realize. I appreciate y'all. Much love. Like, share, subscribe. We'll keep marching forward toward freedom and truth. Peace.